Superman has been around for over 80 years, showing up in comics, cartoons, TV shows, and countless movies. But when it comes to live action, one debate always stirs up the most conversation. Who's the better Superman? Zack Snyder's darker, conflicted Man of Steel, or James Gunn's bright and hopeful new take? Both versions share the same core. An alien raised in Kansas who chooses to protect humanity. But they couldn't be more different in how they present the character. Snyder's Superman spoke to fans who wanted a godlike, tragic figure carrying the weight of the world, while Gunn's Superman brings back the warmth, optimism, and humanity that many feel defines the hero. So today, we're going to break down the similarities, the differences, and what each version says about Superman. So by the end, you can decide which one truly embodies the Man of Steel. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get started.
Hey buddy, eyes up here.
They can be a great people, Kal-El. They wish to be.
I control everything in this town, Superman.
They only lack the light to show the way.
I know there's good in you.
You will never control me, Luthor.
I love you, Lois Lane.
For this reason above all, their capacity for both.
Until the end of time.
I have sent them you.
Now, before we dive into the big differences, let's be clear about one thing. Zack Snyder's Superman and James Gunn's Superman aren't complete opposites. At their core, they're built on the same foundation, because no matter the director, there are a few things that always stay true to the Man of Steel. Both versions start with the same origin. An alien child from Krypton crash lands in Kansas and is raised by the Kents. No matter how dark or how bright the story gets, Superman's heart is shaped by those small-town values of kindness, responsibility, and empathy. Snyder leaned on this with Jonathan Kent teaching Clark to be cautious with his powers, while Gunn puts more emphasis on Clark's humanity and compassion. But the starting point is the same. Superman is a Kansas farm boy first and a godlike hero second. Another big similarity is that both Supermen are outsiders. They struggle with identity, trying to balance being Kal-El, the last son of Krypton, with being Clark Kent, the everyday reporter. Snyder explored this through isolation, portraying Superman as a lonely figure, learning to carry the weight of being the last of his kind. Gunn's version looks at it more from the inside out. Clark already knows who he is, but he's balancing that alien heritage with his human side. Different executions, but the same central struggle. Superman is always torn between two worlds. And of course, both Supermen share the same mission: to help humanity. Whether it's Snyder's Superman making sacrifices that inspire awe, or Gunn's Superman lifting people up with warmth and hope, the drive to save lives and protect Earth is there in both. At the end of the day, neither Superman exists for fame, glory, or power. They're written to reflect the best of what humanity could be, whether that's in the form of a tragic god or a hopeful friend. So even though the tone, style, and fan reception might be night and day, the similarities remind us that no matter who's behind the camera, Superman's core values don't change. Here's where things really split. Even though both versions of Superman share the same foundation, Zack Snyder and James Gunn took the character in completely different directions. And that's why the debate gets so heated. Snyder's Superman, played by Henry Cavill, is presented as a god trying to live among men. From the very first moments of Man of Steel, Clark feels like an alien, separate from humanity, carrying the heavy burden of being the last son of Krypton. His story is about isolation, sacrifice, and tragedy. Snyder leaned into a darker, more realistic tone. The world fears him, questions him, and even treats him as a potential threat. The visuals matched this idea: cold colors, heavy shadows, and constant destruction in his battles. This Superman was built to awe audiences, not necessarily to comfort them. For many fans, he was compelling because he reflected a modern, cynical world where being a hero isn't easy, and every choice comes with consequences. James Gunn's Superman, on the other hand, is built on the opposite idea. Not a god learning to be human, but a human who happens to have godlike powers. His version, played by David Corenswet, emphasizes Clark Kent first. He's already working at the Daily Planet, he has relationships, and his humanity is at the core of everything he does. Instead of focusing on fear and mistrust, Gunn's Superman leans into optimism, warmth, and sincerity. His world is brighter, literally and thematically. The colors of his suit pop, his tone is lighter, and his purpose is clear. He inspires hope. Instead of being someone we observe from a distance, Gunn's Superman feels like someone we could know, a colleague, a neighbor, or a friend. This difference in tone reflects their creative visions. Snyder's Superman was designed for a darker cinematic universe, one that tried to compete with Christopher Nolan's Batman and carve its own space against Marvel. Gunn's Superman is designed for a fresh start, a DC universe that wants to rebuild trust with audiences by going back to the character's roots. One inspires awe through myth and tragedy, the other inspires hope through humanity and connection. And that's the heart of the divide. Snyder gave us a Superman for fans who wanted a more mature, conflicted, almost messianic figure. Gunn is giving us a Superman for fans who want the symbol of hope back, the smiling, compassionate hero who reminds us what we could be at our best. Now this is where things get really interesting, because how fans react to each version of Superman says a lot about what they want from the character. Snyder's Superman built a very passionate fan base, but also one of the most divided. For a lot of people, Henry Cavill looked like the perfect Superman. He had the build, the presence, and that larger-than-life aura. But Snyder's interpretation leaned so heavily into tragedy and moral conflict that it split audiences down the middle. Some fans loved it. They felt like this darker Superman was finally realistic, someone carrying the unbearable weight of his powers in a cynical world. They connected with his struggle, his isolation, and the idea that being a hero comes with impossible sacrifices. To them, this Superman was bold, mythic, and powerful, a breakaway from the old Boy Scout. But for many others, Snyder's Superman felt wrong. Instead of inspiring, he came off as distant, cold, and even careless at times. People questioned his choices, like letting destruction unfold in Metropolis, or failing to connect emotionally with those around him. That's where the infamous aura farming meme came from. The idea that Snyder's Superman posed like a hero, instead of actually acting like one. For critics, it didn't matter how good Cavill was in the role. The writing and tone stripped away the heart and hope that make Superman, Superman. Now, James Gunn's Superman is still new, but the reception already feels different. From the moment his casting and tone were announced, fans were excited about a return to a brighter, more hopeful Man of Steel. People saw the vibrant suit, the smile, the humanity, and said, "This feels like Superman again." Gunn's version taps into nostalgia while also feeling fresh, showing us a Superman who isn't weighed down by constant tragedy, but lifted up by his compassion and values. Early reactions highlight how relatable he is, not because he's invincible, but because he's kind, empathetic, and deeply human. The difference comes down to connection. Snyder's Superman appealed strongly to fans who wanted a deconstruction, a Superman that reflected a darker worldview. Gunn's Superman seems to be connecting with a wider audience because he's built on warmth and sincerity, traits that feel rare in modern superhero movies. One was divisive but bold, the other looks to be unifying and hopeful. So with all that said, who's really the best Superman? Honestly, it depends on what you're looking for. If you want a darker, mythic figure carrying the weight of godlike power, Snyder's Superman speaks to that audience. But if you want a hopeful, human hero who inspires you to believe in something better, Gunn Superman feels closer to the heart of what the character has always stood for. At the end of the day, there isn't a single right answer. Both versions highlight different sides of the same character, and that's why the debate continues. For some fans, Cavill's Superman will always be unmatched. For others, Gunn's Superman represents a long-awaited return to form. But now it's your turn. Who do you think is the best Superman? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more deep dives into your favorite heroes. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.